morning. It is Monday, June 1st, 2015. This is your morning edition on I-24 News. Coming up later today, Moscow pulls military experts from Assad's war room in Damascus, evacuating non-essential personnel in a move that potentially gestures they are withdrawing their unconditional backing to Assad's regime. At least 4 Americans are reportedly being held by Shia rebels in Yemen who toppled the U.S.-backed government. And later on the show, Google's annual I/O Developer Conference reveals the company's most exciting projects. We'll take a closer look at what the future holds for global users. Good morning, I'm Yael Avi, and we begin in Syria, where Moscow has reportedly removed its senior military officials from the capital, Damascus. That, according to the Saudi-owned London-based Ashraq al-Awsat newspaper, a paper, it is important to note, heavily critical of the Assad regime. Now, the report in the paper claims Russia is in the process of disengaging from embattled Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and removing key personnel from Damascus. Opposition sources also noted that Hezbollah, in addition to Iranian and Russian military experts, had withdrawn from Assad's war room in the Syrian capital. Russia has been one of Assad's staunchest allies since the eruption of opposition protests in the southern city of Daraa in March 2011, which then evolved into a full-fledged civil war, claiming the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, nearly 250,000 people, over the course of the last 4 years. Russia has supplied Assad with weapons and professional expertise, as well as diplomatic backing against anti-regime decisions in the UN. And so the change in the Russian position, if true, it is important to note, is a significant blow to the embattled Assad regime and may be the game changer in the 4-year-old bloody Syrian civil war. Let's first take a look at the following report and break it down from there.
Aleppo, Syria. The results of yet another barrel bombing by regime helicopters. A human rights group says at least 71 civilians were killed in this incident.
The barrel dropped 10 minutes ago. They are children, they are only civilians here. There is no Free Syrian Army or armed groups. It's only children. Dozens of injured and dead.
These are the tactics of desperation. President Bashar al-Assad and the forces loyal to him have had surges of momentum throughout the 4 years of this conflict. But recently, it has not been looking good for the embattled dictator. A report in the Ashraq al-Awsat newspaper said Sunday the Assad regime's Russian allies were now reconsidering their support for the Syrian president. Quoting opposition activists, the report states 100 Russian officials have been evacuated from the port city of Latakia, which is home to a naval base as well as storage facilities for Russian arms. Among these officials were experts who manned control rooms critical to the regime's war effort. Moscow's new stance is being tied to contacts between Russia and the Gulf states, part of a general effort to cope with a wave of sanctions related to the Ukraine crisis. The Saudi monarchy and other Gulf leaders, as well as the Turks, have in recent months smoothed over differences to form a common understanding that has put the focus on Bashar al-Assad as enemy number one. Removed obstacles have led to a massive influx in the flow of weaponry, some of it advanced to rebel forces, not including IS. The al-Qaeda-linked Nusra Front, however, has been a prime beneficiary of the support. The movement's flag was raised in Ariha, in Idlib province, Saturday. This Islamist fighter is pictured speaking to the corpses of slain regime soldiers.
We told you to defect from the army, but you prefer to stay. This is what you want? Well, you're welcome. You wanted to be torn into shreds? Well, we are ready to tear you apart. You and your leader.
With the Islamist gains in Idlib province, as well as the recent fall of Palmyra, where IS militants on Saturday blew up a regime prison, it appears Assad's control of the cities of Homs and Hama to the west, not to mention the capital Damascus, is now more vulnerable than it has been in years. Some may see Bashar al-Assad as part of an eventual diplomatic solution to Syria's crisis, but there is no guarantee he will actually survive it.
We're joined in studio by Russia Today's Middle East Bureau Chief Paula Slier. Paula, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And of course by one and only I-24 News Middle East analyst Ali Waqid. Ali, good morning to you. I want to start basically by with Paula, with you, because this report, and it's so important to say, is coming from one source. It's a newspaper that, you know, everybody knows is supported or has the Saudi Arabia, so to speak, you know, agenda. Ashraq al-Awsat. Ali, I'm assuming you will agree with me. Okay, when we're looking at that, if Moscow, first of all, is Moscow pulling its people out of the, I would say, the closest circle of Assad?
Well, as you say, first of all, the report is coming from a newspaper that's anti-Assad. So in the context of that, one has to read the reports. Yeah. There's been no confirmation from Moscow's side. What we do know is that a plane went to Syria last week. It evacuated 76 foreign nationals, those that had Russian passports and those that also had non-Russian passports. It also delivered humanitarian aid at the same time. Russia is downsizing its embassy, but no confirmation that its key personnel that are being pulled out. There were 2 attacks on the Russian embassy in the last month, and there was an attack back in February. So, of course, there are growing concerns over the security situation. The newspaper was also wrong that it said that Moscow is now not insisting that Assad stay in power. Moscow never insisted that Assad stay in power. Moscow's position in Syria was always that there needs to be negotiations, and Moscow now indicating that they're prepared to have a 3rd round of talks to try and bring Assad and the rebels together. But, of course, Syria is a very important country and ally to Russia.
No, I'm glad because you saw my facial expression. At the end of the day, we know Russia has been supportive of the Assad regime over the course of the last...
Russia has its own self-interest. You have Syria, that is a country that has oil and gas reserves. You have Russia having its army base in Latakia. You have the Russian President Vladimir Putin almost wanting to return Russia to the glory of the Soviet era, and a good place to play that game, in inverted commas, is in the Middle East. And here in Syria, you have Russia posing itself as a mediator, maybe coming in where the United States has failed. Russia's also very concerned about the threat emanating from ISIS, and it has indicated that it's prepared and wants to work with the UK as one country to try and stop this.
To try and stop that. That said, you know, and Ali Wakad with us in studio, if these reports are true, and I don't know what you're hearing from your sources, if Russia indeed, and many are saying that, you know, the personnel or the support is being pulled because they're trying to lift sanctions on Russia vis-a-vis what happened in the Ukraine. But if this is true, does this mean that this spells something for us, that Assad that it's game changer, it's game over for Assad? What do we know?
Yeah, a couple of months ago, President Putin gave an interview to a Turkish news agency, not by accident, and he said that the alliance with Syria and with the Syrian regime is a strategic alliance, and that Russia will never give up its support to President Bashar Assad. And we checked the information yesterday, both with Russian diplomats located in the Middle East and, of course, with Syrian sources, and none of these sources confirmed that there is any regression in the Russian support to the regime of Bashar Assad. More than that, Qasem Soleimani, the chief of the elite units of the revolutionary Iranian Guard, said that in the coming days, Iran, with the Syrian army, with Russia, will create their operation room in order to block the progression of the Islamic State and of the jihadist group, which mean a deeper implication of the Russian in the Syrian conflict. And when we hear that the Saudi foreign minister said that Russia had a critical role in the Syrian disaster, we see that the moment is not yet for a Russian change of strategy. Of course, at the background, there is always this crisis in Ukraine, which will dictate much of the Russian steps.
Much of the Russian steps. But speaking of what we hear here in the studio when it comes to a possibility of with the UK negotiating something, apropos that, we're also joined over the phone from London by former British ambassador to Syria and former senior UNRWA official, Ambassador Peter Ford. Always such a pleasure and honor to have you with us. Good morning, Ambassador.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us this morning. I'm assuming you've heard what has been said in the studio just now, and I'm wondering out loud with you, you had written a very important op-ed several months ago about the involvement of international powers in the theater, so to speak, that is the Middle East. But let's say Russia, in the event that this report is true, or there is something behind it, if Western countries are pulling support from the Assad regime, doesn't that spell complete disaster right now for Syria?
I agree with what was said by your other commentators. Russia is not going to throw Assad under the bus. This is wishful thinking on the part of some in the Gulf and in the West. It's not going to happen. The survival of the Assad regime is a matter of strategic interest to the Russians. They may be making taking some security precautions, downsizing their presence in Syria, but this is meaningless with regard to what is basically going on. No, what is interesting at the moment is the way the Americans and the British and others are gradually coming round to the Russian point of view on Syria. Hence the recent flurry of diplomatic contacts, Kerry talking to the Russians, Cameron talking to Putin on the phone the other day, and announcing that there would be closer diplomatic consultations. This is the interesting thing.
Interesting, and I'm asking you, hopefully not to lead you. It's interesting because do you think, actually, if somebody has covered not covered, who's lived in that area and who's governed that area, do you think that that spells something in the way of leading up to June 30th, that there is kind of an attempt to go hand in hand with Russia and the agenda of being, I'm simplifying this, friends with Syria and Iran? I am, case in point, maintaining Assad in power because that's the only way to reach a June 30th deal with Iran?
The choice is very clear and stark in Syria. It's the regime or ISIS. The regime or ISIS. And this is becoming clearer with every day that passes. Even the Americans can see this and are worried by it. However, the Americans need some kind of fig leaf to execute a policy about turn. And I suspect that what's going on with this little flurry of contacts and this talk of diplomatic solutions is the creation of a fig leaf for the Americans. There is no political solution. This is pie in the sky. But if it helps to bring the West to its senses, it will be a good thing.
Apropos bringing the West to its senses, do stay with us a bit longer, Ambassador Ford. But Ali, I'm wondering with you, and actually Paula with you as well, we have seen and we've heard in that report, Idlib, Palmyra, Syria not faring well in its battle against ISIS, apropos keeping Assad in power. He clearly can't push them away, just as is happening in Iraq. No?
Yeah, because something very interesting happened in the last couple of months. Everybody was waiting to understand what is the American strategy, and all of a sudden the Saudis and the Turks decide not to wait anymore for this strategy to be clarified, and adopted their own strategy to arm and to train the Syrian rebels, with making no selection who is jihadist, who is light jihadist or radical jihadist. And we are seeing that on the military level, the boots on the ground led by the Islamic State and other jihadist group is for the first time accompanied by the Turkish Air Force, and this can make a difference. This is why there are now intensive talks between Russia and Turkey to try to clarify what is the Turkish position and how deep the Turks want to go inside the Syrian conflict. This is one thing. The second thing, Yael, for the Russian position, what we understand yesterday is that the Russians understand very well. Ambassador Ford said that in the equation in Syria is Islamic State or the regime. And in the Islamic State, the Chechens fighters are having a huge role. When we talk about the Islamic State, we talk about the Arab fighters.
Proxy war.
We talk about the Arab fighters and the fighters coming from former Soviet Union, mainly Chechens, Tajik, and other. And the Russian know this very well. And the third and important point, we know the growing role of the Orthodox Church in the life of the Russians, and the Orthodox Christian minority in Syria and in the Middle East is facing the danger and the threat of the Islamic State, and this is also an element that should be taken into consideration when we are trying to understand the Russian position.
And not to be cynical, Paula, is that something that's being taken into consideration in Russia, the Christian minority in Syria?
It certainly is. I mean, there's various scenarios that are being positioned in terms of how Syria will go in the future. And in that respect, when they talk about Syria potentially dividing into 5 republics and one republic potentially being the Christians,
right,
the position from Russia is that they would be able to continue to maintain relations with the Christians coming forward. But I want to follow on from what you said. The ISIS threat is huge for Russia. There are Chechens that are going across. The Middle East, of course, is on Russia's borders. They're very concerned about containing that threat. You mentioned all of this happening against the backdrop of the Iranian deal. It's also happening against the backdrop of the Ukrainian fighting. And in that respect, Russia has lost a lot of allies on the international scene. Russia is quite isolated.
Yeah.
So there's no logic why Russia is going to start losing her traditional allies. If anything, the opposite. She's going to start trumping up support with allies that she's had for a long time. For example, Syria, Lebanon, Latin American countries. The funny thing, though, about the whole Ukrainian situation is that it's funny is the wrong word, but it's left Russia in a position that it is actually feeling the pinch of the sanctions. So it might not be able to give the kind of support to Syria that it was giving before in terms of money and military equipment and even maybe diplomacy. But there's no reason why Russia is going to leave Syria in the lurch, particularly at a time that's so sensitive and a time in which she finds herself so vulnerable.
No, all making sense and not leaving, I would cash in saying not leaving Syria in a lurch, but not leaving Assad in a lurch. But Ambassador Ford's still with us. Then, lastly to you, let's say, Assad is still being maintained or being supported by the Russians. But what can he maintain? Because you have, you've served, you were there, you were in Syria. What is left of the place? What is an end game of this, of this scenario, ultimately? Because Syria itself does not really exist, does it, anymore?
The tides of war ebb and flow. In the last 3 months or so, the tide has been going out for the Syrian regime, but it will flow back. This is not the first time they have suffered setbacks, and may not be the last. This is going to be a long, long war. The Lebanese civil war lasted 15 years. We're in year 5 of the Syrian conflict.
It's a terrifying and sad notion, thinking of, as we mentioned at the beginning of this story, approximately nearly 250,000 people dead, and as you mentioned, Ambassador, the 5th year. But big powers at play behind the scenes, breaking it down. Thank you all for being with me on this segment as we move along. Staying with print reports of various sources, the Washington Post reported over the weekend that 4 Americans are being held by Houthi Shia rebels in Yemen. They're believed to be imprisoned in the capital Sana'a, which Saudi Arabia has repeatedly bombed in a campaign to oust the rebels known as Houthis from power. Now, the State Department in the United States is yet to respond officially, but if true, yet another regional proxy war between Saudi Arabia, who backs Yemen, and Iran, who backs the Houthi rebels in the country, is about to climb up a notch. Why? Yesterday, a British newspaper claimed U.S. officials are holding talks with Houthi rebels representatives in Oman, indicating, if true, that the United States is stepping up its involvement in the Yemenite conflict in an attempt to resolve it before the end of June, as we mentioned, where a looming deadline that is supposed to seal a deal with Iran over its nuclear capability is set to expire, a deal which Saudi Arabia is very much opposed to. Meanwhile, on the Yemen ground in the country, Saudi-led coalition jets continue to target multiple sites in the capital, Sana'a, overnight. And I-24 News reporter Danny Swibel has the latest about the conflict in that country that claimed at least 2,000 people thus far.
Saudi airstrikes rage on in the ongoing fight against Shiite rebels who control large parts of the country. Residents of Yemen's capital, Sana'a, said a sports complex was one of several targets struck by the coalition of Sunni Arab nations in the capital overnight and early Sunday, including several military bases near Sana'a Airport and the presidential palace.
We heard the first airstrike at the gate near the swimming pool, and the second and third airstrike in another building, and a fourth airstrike which led the residents to flee the area entirely and left everyone in a state of shock.
Meanwhile, Egyptian and Saudi foreign ministers met in Cairo on Sunday to discuss trouble spots in the region and the relationship with Iran, who is believed to be the main backer of the rebels.
We have a clear, common vision on how to deal with the situation in Yemen. We are partners in the coalition, which works to bring back the legitimate government to Yemen. Also, there's communication and common understanding on the Syrian situation.
We refute the negative, turbulent acts made by Iran and the Iranian support for terrorism. We look forward to a day when we can build normal relations with Iran, but this depends on its behavior. It shouldn't intervene in the affairs of the states of the region.
So far, more than 1,800 people have been killed and more than 7,000 have been wounded, according to the UN. Another 500,000 people have been forced to flee their homes. Massive water, food, and fuel shortages have affected millions of Yemenis throughout the country, with the UN and international aid organizations warning of an impending humanitarian catastrophe if the conflict continues unabated.
First joined via Skype from Washington, D.C. by Times of Israel political correspondent Rebecca Shimoni-Stoyle. Good morning, Rebecca. Thank you for joining.
Good morning to you.
Okay, the State Department, has it confirmed or not confirmed that there are talks or what is being done about this report that came out? And again, I'm looking at all these reports not as just as timely, but that they have meaning behind them past the actual information. But let's start with, has the State Department reacted to the 4 Americans reportedly held by Houthi rebels?
Well, it doesn't seem like we're going to get much of an official reaction in the coming days for a number of reasons. Number one, I think that the State Department and, in general, the administration is trying as hard as they can not to get, officially at least, bogged down in a Yemenite quagmire, which is what these reports would seem to suggest could be an outcome, an increased U.S. involvement. And so, no, we haven't seen a ton of reaction. We're probably not going to see a ton of reaction. Perhaps tomorrow, when business as usual gets underway in Washington at the start of the work week, they'll get pressed on this report about the 4 Americans being held in Sana'a. And we can expect to see a little bit of pushback, at least from the press, during the Monday morning press briefing or Monday afternoon press briefing, which is usually held in D.C.
Right. Rebecca, do stay with us. Ali Waked, I-24 News Middle East analyst, and Paula Sleer, Russia Today's Middle East bureau chief, still with me in studio. Ali, I want to start with you. First of all, these talks in Oman, before we touch on the reports on the Americans all of a sudden, you know, being held by Houthi rebels, these talks in Oman, are they something that is being reported now just to show some sort of an attempt to resolve the Yemen situation, or are the Americans really heavily involved in trying to solve it?
No, they are very important talks held in Oman, unlike the talks that were held in Geneva or in Riyadh, because these are the talks where the Houthis are present and where the Iranians are consulted by the Houthis and by the Omanis. And these are the talks that take into consideration what are the needs and what are the conditions of the Houthis to solve this conflict, and they are based on the equation that the former President Ali Abdullah Saleh will be leaving the country and will have no political role to play in the future life of Yemen, and of course keeping the Houthis part of the decision making in Yemen, which means that in these talks the regional forces are understanding that without the Houthis, no political solution can be viable in Yemen. And the second question about the Americans, yes, the American administration is part of the Oman negotiations. The question of the 4 hostages are being put on the table with the Houthis, who said that they are investigating to understand the nature of the role played with by the 4 Americans in Yemen. But Yael, until the end of June, I don't see any breakthrough in this Yemenite conflict, and until the end of June, both sides will try to strengthen their position on the ground in order to come to the negotiation table in a better position.
Sort of status quo on that. Speaking of which, and Rebecca's still with us, but Paula Sleer, the Houthis, you know, discussing now things with the Americans. Is there some sort of and obviously that will not be reported, but it seems like when it comes to the Middle East, leading towards June 30th, and yes, I'm making that connection right now, the United States seems to be etching towards what has been the Russia recommendation for the past several years.
Russia's position, by and large, is to support the governments that are in power and to try and bring forward negotiations. Yemen is not as important to Russia as a country like Syria. Russia has been trying to keep a kind of middle ground. On the one hand, recognizing and respecting the government that's in power, but on the other hand, you have your Houthi rebels that are supported by Iran, and Russia, of course, having its connection with Iran over there. The context in which all of this is happening is so relevant. You make the connection, but so many other people do towards the nuclear deal that's meant to be signed at the end of the month. And a lot of the concern is that Saudi Arabia potentially is pushing for this because it is worried about its status vis-a-vis the United States and Europe in the region, whether it's as a provider of oil or otherwise. It wants to show the international community, look who you're dealing with. You're dealing with a country, Iran, that's supporting terrorists, the Houthis, and be aware of that as you think about signing off on a nuclear deal.
And, you know, Rebecca Shimoni-Storley in Washington, still with us in the time that we have so many balls up in the air for the United States leading up to June 30th, to that deadline. And granted, you know, we've made all the connections here, but Yemen needs to be somehow resolved. Same goes apropos for Syria, which we've discussed earlier. Is there an understanding in Washington that these situations on the ground, which are proxy wars, which are being fought to try and get to that table with some sort of a capital, are not going to be resolved by June 30th? What is the, I mean, are there concerns in D.C., in Washington, in the administration, that beyond the technicality of that deal on June 30th, those conflicts are not going to, you know, are not going to basically be resolved by that time?
Well, certainly in D.C., there are many, many concerns about that are being aired constantly. Somewhat less so from the administration, which has said all along, well, we do understand that we are not making a final deal with Iran about all of the problems that Iran has somehow related to in the Middle East. In fact, the administration has been very explicit about that this deal is, to some extent, in spite of or even because of Iran's other regional entanglements, but will not resolve them. The answer from the administration has, of course, been that any sort of a normalization with Iran or reaching any sort of an agreement over the nuclear deal will help pave the way, perhaps, to a way to resolve these other regional conflicts. But I think there is no consideration whatsoever in Washington that whatever does come out on June 30th, if something comes out in June 30th, there's really very little consideration of an idea that somehow this will magically resolve the regional disputes in which Iran is embroiled in the Middle East, either covertly or overtly. So I don't really see any expectation of that. I do see limited expectations on the part of the administration that whatever the post-June 30th status quo could in fact help the U.S. in its ability to sit down at the table with Iran and deal with some of these other issues.
Some of the other issues. Very, very well put. Rebecca, thank you for being with us this morning. Same to my fabulous colleagues here in studio. And I think, you know, perhaps pave the way for a regional peace if there's an Iran deal is the million-dollar phrase when we talk about the Middle East, perhaps paving the way towards something. Thank you for being with me this morning. When we get back, German Foreign Minister Frank Steinmeier is in Israel and the Palestinian territories and expected to visit the Gaza Strip today. We will take a closer look. Stay with us. First, though, as in every morning, let's take a look at the morning headlines. I-24 News Morning Edition, the place to be on this June.
Oh, first. Yeah, I got it.
I'm trying here. June 1st. This is 4 days to my son's first birthday.
Mazal
Has
tov.
Nothing to do with anything, but I thought this is worth a mention. So, this is where we're getting. There you go. I know. Mothers of the world unite. I just became so cheesy. But we are here with Ami Kaufman, who joins us daily to discuss the news you've missed while scanning the headlines and have a glimpse at. This is a purple bow tie.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I like it myself. I don't know. What do you think?
I think.
I don't know if I go well with purple. I don't know.
No.
I thought I'd give it a shot. I mean,
purple is, as I said to you, Ami, I think that you're very, very secure in your masculinity.
Well, I'm experimenting.
You're experimenting, and I think the purple. Okay,
you're walking me through this.
No,
I thank you for that.
You through this.
I join you in that. Very secure.
Challenge and diplomatic correspondent, but also by night a fashion designer. So, yes, moving with Ami.
Let's get to it. A little FIFA update. The scandal that is not going away anytime soon. The Independent is reporting that FIFA president, newly elected, shall I say, president, Sepp Blatter will be questioned by Swiss authorities along with 10 other officials. Two of them are Michel Platini, the UEFA president, and the Russian sports minister, Vitaly Mutko.
I'm loving this.
Yeah, it's really nice because we thought that Sepp Blatter might not, he'll get away with it, but maybe...
he has been elected, but I even saw a report, I think, earlier this morning that he might be, and I don't remember where it saw, might be questioned under arrest, which I think is far-fetched.
Right.
But that said, because I'm by esteemed colleagues here in studio, Can this really touch him, is the million-dollar question.
I doubt it. I kind of doubt it. I think he's all capable. He's one of the most powerful men in the world, basically. And I don't think he can, it's going to touch him.
The reigning monarch.
But I'd like to take it in another direction, if I may. And there is a viral graph that is going around on social media that was posted first on the Wonk blog, which is a very famous political blog hosted by the Washington Post. It's highly recommended, by the way. And they are talking about the human toll of FIFA's scandal. And this is how many people have died in various, for example, tournaments. If it was Sochi, the Winter Olympics, if it was Beijing, the Summer Olympics, and they put a graph of how many people have died so far, and it's been, a few dozens in Sochi,
Holy
a few
cow,
dozen in Sochi,
is that Qatar
and
just in the
Qatar.
lead-up?
So far, 1,200 people have died in Qatar. Until those games in 2022, it is expected that around 4,000 people will die just because of this. These games happening in a place where they really shouldn't happen.
They shouldn't happen. It's building these arenas. I mean, we have to mention that these people have, when it comes to Qatar, when it comes to these places, there's the upper echelon of the very rich and the really, really, really poor people who come in to build the places.
These are mostly Nepali and Indian immigrants, by the way. That
because the Nepalese really have not gone through enough.
Okay. Pretty much we've heard about this. Beau Biden, the son of U.S. Vice President Joe Biden, passed away at the age of 46 from brain cancer. He was a former Delaware Attorney General. The condolences are kind of coming in from all over. John Kerry, who was in hospital in Switzerland for a bike accident, said that Beau Biden was a son that any father might hope to raise. Hillary Clinton went to Twitter and said that my heart is broken for the family of Beau Biden, a wonderful man who served his country with devotion and lived his life with courage. And presumed Republican frontrunner Jeb Bush said that he was saddened by the news of Biden's passing. My prayers are with the vice president.
Yeah, it looks very much like him, as we're also looking at pictures of, and most likely would have had a political career.
And the Obamas, of course, had a long, lengthy.
Prime Minister Netanyahu sent his.
Not to forget, thank you, I've already here. Not to forget Prime Minister Netanyahu.
And speaking of Israelis and Americans, yesterday tens of thousands of people attended the New York City Israel Solidarity Parade. About 30,000 people actually. And I just want to say that one of them was Minister Danny Danon. I like to say his title, the Minister of Science, Technology, and Space.
Technology and Space, and I'm quoting Facebook statuses, who said that, because he promised to have a social agenda, he's going to send all the poor people to the moon.
And I believe we have...
I'm quoting Facebook statuses.
By the way, the leader, the rally was led by Minister Akunis, which is Minister of...
well, he's not really a minister. He's in the communications ministry.
No, he's a minister in the government.
In the government.
But, he's the minister of what?
But
without any
ministry first? Nothing.
Nothing.
He's just a minister.
Okay, it's space and nothing. But we are joined live from New York by attorney Oded Har-Even, a member in the IAC board and one of the organizers of this rally, of course, right? Oded, good morning to you. Good night, actually.
Hi, good morning, good night, whatever you want. Yeah.
Whatever you want, amen to that. I used to live in New York, I remember these parades. Is it hard, well, I'm assuming to say, is it hard to organize them these days where, I'm going to state the obvious. Israel, obviously New York, very much loved, but Americans not swaying that way towards only the Zionist agenda as of late. I'm being facetious.
Right, but I want to correct you on one thing. The IAC organized something new that happened this year that wasn't in the past, which is the festival, the Israel Festival. It took place right after the parade. The parade has been in place for many, many years. And by the way, I think this was the largest parade ever. I think it was not 30,000, but rather like 45,000 people that attended. But I didn't attend the parade because I was helping organize the festival, which took place right after the parade. We had about 10,000 people that came to the Pier 92 on the Hudson River to celebrate a very nice festival for Israel. Including a live show of Rita and many other mini events inside the festival, which was a great success. It was the first of its kind in New York, and it was, I think, really successful.
I want to thank you for being with us this morning. Oded, as we said, a festival with Israeli singers in New York. I think it was easy to find people who like Israel in New York.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
No problem in that
That's the place to go if you want to go.
There was actually a lot of Israelis you can find in New York.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. And, yes.
Okay, you know how I like to do this little media comparison thing going. Okay, this one is from Turkey. I'm going to start with a piece from the Hurriyet, which is considered a left-leaning, liberal, kind of anti-Erdogan thing.
And some of its good journalists are also in jail.
Yeah. Now, apparently, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the president of Turkey, has a problem with the New York Times, and this has been going on for a week. This is a really, really good story. I want to try to break it down for you. Yesterday, 2 days ago on Saturday, he lashed out at the New York Times for the 3rd time in a week, and he said that they were cooperating with Pennsylvania, which is a reference to the Pennsylvania-based Islamic cleric Fethullah Gulen, who is his ally. Now, how did this whole thing start? The Hurriyet, which is this paper that I was talking about, published an item on Mohamed Morsi, which has nothing to do with and the headline was that despite being elected by 52%, the president is being given the death penalty. Now, Erdogan was also elected by 52%, and he read that as saying, "Oh, the Hurriyet wants to give me, is hoping for my death penalty as well." And he sent some criminal complaints, and there are people in the Hurriyet who will be apparently arrested. Now, the New York Times on May 22nd wrote an op-ed about that and criticized this.
Right.
Now, Erdogan went ballistic over this. Erdogan just went ballistic, and he said, the New York Times is meddling in Turkey's affairs, and he advised its editors to know your place. That was last week. And one day later...
The New York Times is meddling in the world's affairs.
Yes, and listen to this. And a day later after that, in another rally, he said, "Hey, New York Times, you think you can give us lessons on press freedom as the media establishment that didn't say a word when 16 journalists were massacred by Israeli planes?"
Seriously?
He said that.
Okay.
And yesterday...
what he refers to?
He's referring to the war in Gaza, where apparently some journalists were killed. And, okay.
I get it. Okay, last one.
And just last one, the Daily Sabah, which is a pro-Erdogan, which we have here. I think the headline said about the rally yesterday, they didn't mention anything about this. Nothing to say about the whole thing.
And I think that Erdogan is a perfect example that, it's the place to flourish if you're a dictator, and especially also if you're mad as a dog. I said that. Okay, Turkey marks 52nd anniversary of Istanbul's conquest by the Ottoman Empire. That gave us many, many, many pieces of furniture. Okay, but quickly to CNN, which is your last one for us.
CNN is celebrating a 35th anniversary, and they put out a blooper reel about 4 minutes. We're going to see about 30 seconds. It is fabulous.
Okay,
let's just check it
take
out.
a look. CNN bloopers, 30 years.
In the meantime, Michael Johnson's very real shot.
Look behind us here.
Tougher sanctions to increase the pressure if necessary.
You can get into it, you know what I'm saying?
Russian police believe Chechen rebels. Grab the Dramamine, everyone. So they...
Oh.
Welcome back.
Oh, well, recovering. We're back.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time. Ami locked in studio with us. There we go. Okay, moving along to our next topic. German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier has arrived in Israel and the Palestinian territories on an official tour and met with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Following EU Chief Federica Mogherini's visit last week, Steinmeier is the latest European representative to pay the region a visit and sound his concern about the Israeli-Palestinian peace process, or shall we say, lack thereof. Seeing as the Obama administration has indicated in many words and occasions over the course of the last several months that the Israeli-Palestinian process is not on their agenda, so can the Europeans change the faith of the Palestinians, or rather rhetorically maintain a status quo that many claim is desired by the Israeli administration? To decipher this, we are joined in studio by Channel 10 diplomatic correspondent Mu'av Vadi, who we've introduced earlier on. Mu'av, I want us to have a listen first to what the German foreign minister had to say, and at his arrival, let's have a quick listen.
Just said in the press conference, I still believe that there is a need to come back to negotiations about the two-state solution. But with regard to the risky situation in Gaza, I think we have also to think about some concrete steps for improving the situation for the daily life there. Without that, I'm afraid the situation is again escalating, and there can be no interest on both sides.
Mu'av Vadi, we've heard these lines so many times before. As we mentioned, this is the second high chief foreign minister, European foreign minister arriving here. Are these, again, rhetorical statements? At the end of the day, the Americans are not in the game. They're the only ones who can force the Israelis to do anything. What do these statements mean? And can the Europeans force Netanyahu to go, or both sides, to go back to the table?
Well, the European, I would say, will or pressure is genuine. I mean, they do want to see the peace process being resumed. It's not just words. And the thing is that the reality on the ground, as I view it, there is practically no chance for resuming the peace talks. First of all, the Palestinians doesn't want bilateral peace talks anymore. They want anything that can do with the international arena, with the international community forcing Israel to do stuff. They don't want, again, this what they see as a hide-and-seek game with Netanyahu, mediating by John Kerry or someone else, because it's leading nowhere, because they don't believe Netanyahu. They don't believe Netanyahu is genuine. Okay, so then there you go to the second phase, which is Gaza improvement.
The Gaza Strip, yeah.
Yeah, the Gaza Strip.
Where, you know, the German foreign minister is scheduled to be in the Gaza Strip today. Not meeting with Hamas.
To be in Gaza today. This is a course, this is I would say, a ground where the international community and specifically the Europeans can influence. They have leverage. They have money. They can mediate between Fatah and Hamas. They can contribute money, funds, or, you know, to recruit the international community.
No, it's a great point, because speaking of that money, and we are joined over the phone also from Gaza right now, from the Gaza Strip by Gaza resident Maha Mehana. Maha, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you for being with us. Really quickly, though, when it comes to that money and the reconstruction after the horrific damage that the Gaza Strip has suffered over the course of last summer's war, has the reconstruction really started, or reports true that none of that money or the bulk of that money has not really arrived in the Strip? What is the situation in Gaza for the residents these days?
Just a little money arrived, but the majority of the money didn't arrive. Nothing has changed since the war last year. And people are still, you know, those whose homes got destroyed in the last summer, are still waiting for their homes to be rebuilt. They are still living in temporary shelters and temporary homes, and nothing happened on the ground. Very little that entered Gaza of the construction materials and aid. The money that was promised to come to Gaza didn't arrive. People are still desperate for their homes to be rebuilt. Nothing happened on the ground.
And that's the terrifying thing, Maha. I mean, apropos, Moav Vardi still with me in studio. Speaking of that, you know, those contributions, I remember the donors conference. So if that's the little thing that they can do, they're not even doing that. So, you know, where is that pressure, that European pressure coming from, and what can it change? What can Netanyahu give the Europeans? If we're listening, if you were to dissect the line he gave Mogherini last week.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that Netanyahu is locked between two, I would say, forces or pressures. First of all, the international community think that it's very essential to resume peace talks now. Second, and the second force is, or the counter force is, that Netanyahu does not, I would say, believe or agree to do the necessary concessions in order to create a Palestinian state.
Can he even look at his government?
No, I'm not talking about his government. His strong belief is that it's too dangerous now to give up security control in the West Bank. It's not. I would say it's even reckless, according to Netanyahu, to take out the IDF forces from the West Bank, meaning that it's not a real sovereign Palestinian state. Now, this is Netanyahu. I respect his position. He might be very right, but it cannot come to terms with the international community demand to see the end of occupation. Then, what Netanyahu has to do? Netanyahu is pulling out the tricks every now and then. You can see it, you know, for instance, now with Mogherini, I'm ready to talk about the settlement blocks. But, you know, we sat with him for an hour and a half last Thursday, the diplomatic correspondence in Israel, and we actually said to him, okay, I told him you're telling the international community that you're willing to negotiate the settlement blocks, borders, but what about negotiating which settlements or which areas you are willing not to build in during negotiation? He said, I don't want to talk about that. meaning that the trick is being revealed. It's only a trick in order to gain time. Now, you know the movie Being John Malkovich, right?
Yes.
So being Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah.
Being Benjamin Netanyahu, Yael, he has to maneuver between the pressure from the world and his belief that it's too dangerous. Now he's pulling out tricks, and you will see more and more.
He's a master trick player. But that was a beautiful way of actually explaining it. Moav Vardi, always such a pleasure to have you with us. When we get back, Google reveals its new ideas, technologies, whatnot, and how they will rule the world. Stay with us. First, the news. It is still Monday, June 1st, 2015. I know that because Ami Kaufman told me that, the man with the purple bow tie.
Oh, thank you very much.
There you go, exactly. I live to embarrass people. This is still the morning edition on I-24 News. Thank you for staying with us. And we're moving on to the next topic. Google's annual I/O Developers Conference is one of the most hotly anticipated events in the technology calendar, and 2015 event did not disappoint. This year's conference demonstrated again why Google is one of the most innovative companies in the world at present, if not possibly one of its true leaders of the world. Yes. Now, to hear more about it, we are joined in studio by founder and CEO of NK Innovation Strategy Marketing. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
I did. Neil Kouris?
Yeah.
Neil Kouris. I pronounced that right too. Neil, good morning to you. You're having fun. Let's take a look at the following report about this really important technology conference I do not understand anything about, and break it down from there. There we go.
At its annual Google Developers Conference on Thursday, many considered Google's biggest announcement to be that GoPro, the action camera maker and Google Inc., introduced a virtual reality system using 16 cameras and Google new Jump technology to create a 360-degree virtual reality video.
I'd like to preview something that we call Jump. I want to put professional, previously impossible tools in the hands of any creator who's motivated so that they can capture the world around them and then share it in a way that lets all of us jump to the top of that mountain, jump to any place or event on the planet, and experience those sights and sounds like we're actually there.
Google also offered a preview of Android M, due for release later this year, with an upgraded version of Google Now, the voice-activated assistant which competes with rivals like Apple's Siri. Google Photos also took center stage.
Google Photos, we built an entirely new experience from the ground up, centered around three big ideas. First, a home for all your photos and videos. A private and safe place to keep a lifetime of memories, available from any device. Fast, intuitive, and beautiful.
Google's Vice President of Engineering, David Burke, lauded Android M, which will give users more control over what information apps can access from their phones, as well as Android Pay, like Apple Pay for iPhones, will allow users to make online and in-store purchases with their mobile and wearable devices.
CEO of NK Innovation Strategy Marketing, Neil Kouris, is here with us. I was just admiring your Apple Watch.
Ah, that's one of my Apple Watches.
How many do you have?
Five.
You're serious?
Yeah.
Okay, I was about to come out of this report about Google and say, I hate these people. Come on, don't we hate them?
We hate everybody.
No, we hate them. They're young, they make money, and then they're walking like the walk on the floor, looking like Steve Jobs with I'm going to look like a schlob because I'm a genius, I make a lot of money.
With the hoodie.
With the hoodie, exactly, the
like
hoodie.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, bingo, the Zuckerberg look. Bleh. But that said, it looks amazing. What are the most exciting things that came out of there now that I've spewed my mantra?
Yeah, well, first we saw it on Google Photos, which is now like available for everybody, like iOS and Android. It's like unlimited storage. Like you can place all your photos ever, unlimited, on a full resolution, like forever. It's gonna stay in the cloud, and you can always download it, print it. I mean, it's...
That's a terrifying notion. They're gonna stay there forever. Am I the only one hearing this? Okay, stay there in the cloud forever.
In a high resolution.
Wow.
So like Amazon try to do it, Microsoft try to do it only with the online services they have, but Google said it's open for everybody for free.
Because until now it was limited until now.
Yeah, always. Yeah. So that's a big bet. It's really risky.
How can that even be done?
Servers.
Yeah, that's a lot of servers.
Yeah.
No, that's many. Yeah. I mean, unlimited for free. That's like infinity.
Yeah.
Times if I take 17 million pictures of my baby, that's going to be Okay.
They got a whole market because it's not just Android, it's also iOS. So it's like a huge announcement. But that's one of them.
Okay, what's another one? Said the man in the Apple Watch. I want to see that.
VR. We're going to talk a lot about 360 degrees video. So YouTube now supports it.
Okay.
It means that you can really experience video in a whole new level. And last year on the conference, Google explored Cardboard. You know that device that you can put in your eyes and you can enjoy virtual reality?
Yes,
so
yes,
they
yes,
gave
I remember
cardboards,
that.
right?
Okay.
And now they do cardboards for classrooms. So basically, they allow teachers to really, they call it jump, because you can jump to any location in the world with your students, explore like a city.
And that would be like done with the cardboard thingies with the students. You know, you basically take them into a location. Oh my Lord!
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is like one thing they do with GoPro. They came up with a new camera with lots of GoPros.
But you know, I have to stop you because you know what scares me about that when I'm listening to this. If students will have 3D experiences of the world, and as we lost the ability to talk to each other because of smartphones and whatnot. Are people going to stop to want to travel? That's my,
Yeah, it might not. You know, Zuckerberg said that this is going to be the new, like, one-on-one, like meeting friends on virtual reality.
Well, if Zuckerberg said that,
can get people closer to you and still be
part of that.
Yeah.
So it's 3D, but Google, another Google invention. That's
Google partnered up with GoPro on a special camera that has many GoPros on it, and it will allow you to make 360-degree experience and upload it to YouTube. Now, Facebook is also in the game. They're also supporting 360 degrees.
Facebook and Google are kind of like Saudi Arabia and Iran. No, they are. Okay, yes, it's the big battle.
Yeah, so Facebook invested in Oculus, if you know them. So this is a huge company.
I know nothing. Okay, what are they?
Yeah. Oculus is like a VR device that you can put in your head, and it's like the most amazing one.
On your head, not in your head. On your head. Okay, good.
It's the most amazing device, and in the beginning of next year, they're going to sell it to everybody.
And what does that device do?
This device just allows you to experience virtual reality on your face with sound also.
Okay, kind of like it's the answer to what Google just introduced.
Yeah, but they, like, virtual reality is way back, and Facebook is really huge on that. So, like, the whole VR experience is really a hot field, so that's why Google is in the business.
So, like, my children will be sitting with little boxes on their heads about 10 years from now on Facebook.
Yeah, you thought swiping with the phone was bad for kids. Now they're just going to be with those things on
Why does this depress me? Okay, no, you're sitting here like all excited.
Because I have some of these devices and from last year, and this is so great. The resolution gets better.
Right.
And it will allow us to explore different, like, locations from home, from classroom, from everybody. Like, it's amazing. Like,
it is amazing, and make more money for Google and Zuckerberg, which is what we live for.
Right.
Neil, I'm liking you so much. I'm locking you in the studio. That was the Google future as you know it.
Yeah.
Before they tattoo little Google. Never mind. But you're staying with us as we move to the web review. Speaking of anything and everything technical, with Ami Kaufman, the spiral viral that is. The web review, yes.
So like my last segment, I'm going to start this one as well with FIFA. FIFA put out its new FIFA 16 game for gamers, and it's going to have women in it. You could play a women's team with it. Now, apparently, finally, now this is not being accepted too well by men who are proving, to be utter twats as they are on social media.
See, the bow ties doing you swell. You use the word twats.
I have a few tweets that I brought, from social media. Here's one that says, so now there's going to be women's football on FIFA 16. Why do women have to interfere with everything we do?
No, stop. Wait, stop.
And there's
stop. Why do? Because you do it so badly.
Yeah, okay, and it gets there's more. Here's another one. If I'm beaten by a woman team on FIFA 16, I might as well kill myself.
I think you should go. They should go ahead.
There you go. That's a very good reaction.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, definitely. I hope I need to see that tweet. No, because I'm going to retweet back. The answer is a resounding yes.
I'll give you the details
Please
of that.
do.
And keeping up with the feminist things. The New York Times last week put an article out that said that granny panties are in and thongs are out. And since then, the social media has gone crazy with this. And
first of all,
as you can see,
because I'm so happy. I'm vindicated.
The Daily Mail picked this up.
Okay.
What I like about the Daily Mail is the picture that they use. If you remember, you know where this is from?
This is Bertha Jones.
Thank you very. Very good.
Dude,
I'm impressed.
Of course.
I'm impressed.
This is the time for really sexy knickers. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Hey.
So the New York Times said that they have data that thongs have gone down 7%. The sales of thongs have gone 7%, while sales of larger drawers, such as the boy short and high-waisted pantry, have gone up 17%.
I'm sorry. Amen to that. It's the right switch.
And the New York Times says it's because of feminist issues, feminism on the rise.
Okay, it's not. I'll give you guys the secret. It's not just it's incredibly uncomfortable.
That's it.
Thongs,
which has to do with feminism, of course, comfortable and being,
exactly
what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, still thongs, terribly uncomfortable.
Staying with feminism on the web, this gay teenager put an amazing quote in her New Year's book. Where you have the photo in the States and they have a quote, and it went viral. Her friend put the picture up, and her what she said is, "I need feminism because I intend on marrying rich, and I can't do that if my wife and I are making 75 cents for every dollar a man makes."
Nice.
That is a really well done quote for your New Year's book.
Amen. Yes.
That is go down in history.
Not just am I proud to be who I am.
Exactly.
But as a woman, I also know I will always freaking make less money than men, and so will my
75%. That's all you're gonna make.
Yes. And
there's a new thing on a new hashtag that's called Beyonce is always on beat. On Twitter, and what people do is they take videos of Beyonce and they mash them with different music, and it comes out. It's a miracle. It works that she is always on beat, even with a different song. And this song is All the Single Ladies that we're going to show, and done with the theme song from the show, a cartoon called DuckTales, a Disney cartoon called DuckTales.
That works. Okay, we have to check it out. This. Let's take a look.
It's a duck blur, might solve a mystery.
I gotta say, if there is a perfect opportunity to say, first of all, it's a perfect opportunity. Near, welcome to our morning. We actually, we wanted to show Beyonce shaking her booty, and that was our reason to do that. But high five me, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and
we have time. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Do you remember that story about the dress that was either blue and gold or white?
Yes.
I don't remember what it was. Okay.
I
want you to watch the next video, which has gone viral, and tell me what color is this girl's hair?
Okay.
Tell me.
This went viral.
Yes.
Whoa! Come back out here. Whoa! Come back in there.
I have no idea. Apparently, it's probably something with a fluorescent light, and a warm light that maybe. But she dyed her hair violet, and then they just figured out that it went crazy.
And then and I'm sure. God, okay.
We have one time for one last one. Okay.
We have a lot of time.
If you thought the selfies were bad, with selfie sticks and stuff like that, wait till you see this. This is called the Lily camera. What it is, and I'm sure Near can tell us more about that.
It's the Lily
what you do
camera.
is you have
you
have a bracelet on your hand, and you have this camera that's on a disc. You just throw it away, and it follows you wherever you go. Let's take a look at this video.
Yes, please. Wow. And then what happens?
And then it comes back and it lands on his hand.
How much is it?
$500.
It's only $500.
Yeah.
If you order it, pre-order it, it's $500. If you don't, you'll have. And if you wait, it's $1,000.
Okay.
So,
okay.
You better order it now. I think you want.
I don't know if I want the camera following me around. I still think it's all like a master scheme of things, and then it kind of lands back in your hand. How did they design this?
Wait, Near, do you have one?
I talked with the founder. Maybe next time you invite me, I'll be able to bring it.
Yes. No, I think that
you're not allowed to fly it here.
The controller would love that. We'll just zoom the thing. It will spin around.
I'll just run away from it.
No, completely. I just want to take a look though at your Apple Watch because
my Apple Watch. Yeah,
you're going to take it off. You're going to take it off.
Okay.
Me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then it will detect. It's not on my hand, and you're going to have to put the code. So
you mean it senses that it's not on your hand? I don't get what you just said.
That when you remove it from your hand,
when you remove it from your hand, it just locks
the code.
Okay, so we were going to say there's the cameras that you have. How many of these?
5. But this is the smaller version, the cheapest one, the Apple Sport
This is the Apple Sport
but
Army.
I have the more the fashionable devices that are more expensive.
Okay, so
are you enjoying it? Or do you think it's like?
Do you think it's going to catch on all
I
these
finally
technologies?
understood what it is. Like, it's if you don't make a big deal of the Apple Watch, it just gives you one reminder, like tapping, like in a way that only you feel it.
Right.
And if you don't make a big deal of it, and you just get one notification a day or two, and like, you know, all this time that you move your hand from your pocket, it reduces it, and it's so nice. You know, you can drive and talk to it. You don't need to talk like this. You can talk like this.
All right.
I love that. I think on that note, we will finish me and my new Apple Watch.
Looks good.
Okay, no, doesn't it? It was so great to have you in the studio.
Bring more
Bye.
devices next
Yeah. When we get back, you know, we will take a look and new reality shows that I know nothing about, but Chen Lima will be here and tell me all about it. First, of course, the news. It was great to have you in this block. Bye. I-24 News Morning Edition on this June 1st, 2015. The place to be, because it's where you get to meet gorgeous, gorgeous, blonde, intelligent women such as Chen Lieberman, Channel 10, yeah, culture editor and a singer too.
Well, what shall we sing today?
It's going to happen.
Enrique Iglesias will give us a song because we have breaking news from Enrique Iglesias. He got injured, like really injured. Like badly injured in a concert. Why are we so happy about it?
I don't know. I love saying this.
So he performed in a concert in
never
Mexico.
Father, but okay.
Right. But I kind of like Enrique. So, yeah, so he got his fingers sliced by a drone. How did that happen? Okay?
I don't know. Can we see this? Do we have this?
We have a picture.
Yes, let's have a look.
A still picture.
We have a still picture of this?
Yeah.
No,
a video.
We
have a video.
Here it goes.
Ouch. Ouch.
Okay. I'm sorry. This is hilarious. Okay. No. Yeah, I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
So there's
there's a slew of things, and okay.
So there's this. It's getting bloody and bloodier.
It's bloody and bloody and bloodier.
So there's this drone that takes crowd pictures, right? Yes. And sometimes throughout the show, Enrique grabs the drone to give the audience his point of view, and everybody's like, Enrique! Okay, so
Never do that again.
So that didn't happen. This time, the one screaming was Enrique. So he got so he got semi-treated at the side of the stage, but then he continued performing for 30 minutes.
Show business for
That's so Beyonce of him.
When did Beyonce get injured?
She got her hair caught in a fan, and she kept on singing. It was kind of ridiculous.
I want to make a confession. I actually was shot on the way here right now. I am bleeding profusely, but I am still angry.
I'm still here.
I'm still angry.
Show must go on.
I know. I may collapse.
But we should sing an Enrique song.
I was about to say, what are Enrique songs?
Here's how it goes. You and me, up and down, and this time we'll
you have to
get
find
it out.
I don't know the words. I never heard a song of his.
You can run, you can hide, but you can't escape my love. And he has Sad Eyes that he did the Bruce Springsteen song, Sad Eyes. Okay, but I'm the only one singing.
No, that's because we need to find. No, we are going to find a song that we can sing together. But hold on, isn't Enrique Iglesias also the guy dating the blonde tennis chick?
That's the thing with Enrique Iglesias. Every time he dates someone, he brings her to his video clips. So he dated Sarah from Table for a Party of Five. Sarah.
Ah, right. Yeah, I know.
Sarah Love Hewitt. Sarah Love Hewitt.
Yeah.
So she was in his hero.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Jennifer Love Hewitt. It's because Sarah Michelle.
We've upset a bunch of
Sarah
people
Michelle Gellar
right now. Okay.
There's Sarah Michelle Gellar. It's 3 names, so that's why I thought of. Okay,
Actresses
Jennifer
should have one name.
Exactly.
He can be with any girl he wants.
Jennifer Love Hewitt. She was at his hero video clip. Then they broke up. Same album.
Yeah.
He's dating
the blonde tennis. Your sports guy.
Kornikova. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Dating her,
Russian.
and then she was at the video clip that I just sang. The one that Can't Escape My Love.
Exactly. Can't Escape My Love. I remember that video.
She escaped his love. Jennifer escaped his love.
New one comes in. Next one goes.
And now his finger escaped him as well.
Exactly.
Don't worry about that.
He'll be fine.
Moving along.
Okay, so what? Let me ask you that. What's worse than trashy reality shows? non-trashy reality shows, the ones that are trying to also have like a very, important message to it.
What they call docudramas.
Yeah, or altruistic, like trying to help people. So you have The Briefcase, it's on CBS. It's ridiculous. Okay, so they're bringing $100,000, a briefcase with $100,000 to poor families. They surprise them with that.
Wait, and I think we have it.
Okay, let's see the preview and then we'll laugh.
And that we'll make fun of it. Yeah. Let's have a look.
Each week, two deserving families that have been dealt a tough hand.
We are living paycheck to paycheck. I'm so sick of struggling.
Will be given a briefcase with $101,000 inside.
Is this really my money?
No way!
Oh my God, I've never seen so much money in my life.
And it will change their lives forever.
It could really help my family pay a lot of the student loans that we have.
Okay, so the catch is, I mean, it's worse as it is, right? But the catch is, they tell the families, they tell the families, okay, you can keep the $100,000, or you can give some of it, or you can give it all to another family who's even poorer than you and has more troubles than you.
So it's a lose-lose
situation. And then they have 3 days to learn about the other family, to visit their house when they're not there, 3 days to make the decision. So then it's just a competition. Who's suffering more?
Who's suffering more? That's disgusting.
Like, why not take money from people that really don't need the $100,000 and tell them to? Like, why?
And you have $100,000 to decide if you want to give it to somebody that we're going to expose as well and how miserable they are, and see how
you're going to make a lot of money off of that.
But what they don't know is that the other family also has the same dilemma. They also got the $100,000.
So eventually everybody gets the money.
Well, not really, because they meet after 3 days, and they both make their decisions.
Television is going to hell.
They make the decision.
Television is going to hell.
If one side decided to give the $100,000 and the other side decided not to, then he's getting
$200,000.
That's where I want to be.
What do you do after season 1 when you know that all? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's that.
It got really high ratings, and again, it's trying to teach you that money is not everything in life. Well, CBS, you should know that money is not everything in life, and that you don't have to be
I don't know what kind of coffee you had this morning. I want the same brand. Yes,
It's actually tea.
It's tea?
Right here in the hallway, I got some tea.
Yeah, that can't be the one.
Okay, and Paul McCartney, so he's really working really hard to get us to like Ringo Starr more than we like him. After doing those duets with Kanye West and Rihanna.
Which was really,
I love that.
No, I love this because Paul McCartney is just being like given something by the French, who's he given what? Yeah. But he swears off marijuana. Who cares? He is not going to smoke pot anymore.
And the thing is, he was an advocate of pot use, and now he's no longer using it. And the reason for it is because he wants to be a role model for his kids and his grandchildren. Role model of what?
Of what?
Being a nerd, like.
You probably wouldn't have his music.
Of turning your back.
First of all, no. I have one thing to say about this. If you're Paul McCartney, you don't need to do anything to impress your grandchildren. You're Paul McCartney. I know. You're the Beatles. Who cares? Smoke, drink, shoot up heroin. Do whatever you want. So, by the way, those are songs that I do know. But wait. And.
Okay.
So he swears off marijuana. That's something. Yeah.
It's disappointing.
It's very disappointing.
Like he's all about, it's the law. So now I'm drinking wine or a nice glass of margarita if I want to get a buzz.
It goes along. When I go older.
It's the law. I mean.
64. When I go older, losing my hair. You're not of my generation.
I know the song. I don't know how to sing it.
Yeah. Okay. Chen, what else for us?
Deliverance. Okay. 40th anniversary for the film Jaws.
Wow.
Now you don't want to go swim now, right?
How does that go? How does it?
Yeah.
But
that's not karaoke. You don't do scores in karaoke.
Okay, you don't do scores. Okay.
So anyway, 40 years later, it's getting a limited release in the theaters, and it's also drawing a more academic debate about the importance of Jaws. And the thing is, it was the first
from a
summer...
film point of view or from a swimming point of view?
From a film point of view.
Wait. We have a scene from Jaws to remind you all. Yes.
Swimming anyway.
Well, Shark, we've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Is that the one with the
Still
jaw?
hasn't happened to me.
No, but I'm totally waiting for because it would be perfect right now if something does do. Yeah. Okay. 40.
So the thing is, 40 years since, and this was the first summer blockbuster. Till then, Hollywood studios didn't care about the summer time. It was like the dead zone. You had hits for Christmas time, and those were like, family-oriented hits. But then summer came, and they were used to having people go for vacations and not going to the theaters. But what happened between 65 and 75 is that the number of malls in the U.S. raised from 1,200 to 12,000.
I was about to say to 150 million malls.
Now who's counting?
Yeah.
But what Spielberg did, he directed his film, he targeted his film to those mall rats who were at the malls trying to get out of the heat, in these air-conditioned malls. And that's what it was targeted for, those younger generations. And since then, you have the summer blockbuster.
Thank you, Spielberg. That and Schindler's List. Okay, yes, Michael Friedman in the house of the sports magazine, of anything and everything in sports. Michael, you're here with us. Try and top that.
We had a great weekend in sports. One of the best.
Yeah.
When it comes to football...
No, FIFA didn't.
FIFA didn't?
Okay, you had a great weekend.
But football, we had the FA Cup, the French League Cup, the Copa del Rey. It was a high excitement, but we're going to start with the English Cup.
Amen.
And there was one guy there, a little royalty was there. He wasn't too pleased with what happened.
So let's take a look at what happened to him.
Arsenal and Aston Villa met in the FA Cup final, and both teams were hoping to return home with the coveted silverware. The Gunners dominated the match from the beginning and scored in the 40th minute after breaking down Villa's defense and leaving Theo Walcott to score with an impressive half volley. What a great moment for the Arsenal forward, who spent almost a year out due to injury.
No, well, not at all. I've worked really hard, and the manager's has shown his faith in me. And I just wanted to repay him and the Arsenal fans and their support. And I missed last year due to injury and personal problems, but it was nice to come back with a bounce and in a winning team.
Early on into the second half, Alexis Sanchez then beat the keeper with a splendid goal from outside the box. And just minutes later, the Gunners' captain Per Mertesacker headed in a goal from a corner kick. And Aston Villa's fan Prince William did not look pleased. The match was already won, but in stoppage time, Oliver Giroud added the final goal of the night as he flicked the ball into the net after a cross by Chamberlain. Theo Walcott was especially glad to score for his Gunners.
This team is blessed and we've got a fantastic squad. I've been here for a long time and this is truly the best squad I've worked with, and I believe that we could go and challenge next year.
Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger also praised his squad for a fantastic performance.
It's very sweet and I'm very proud, It's, if nobody else has done it, it's not so easy, and you always want to achieve different things, but I'm even much more happy with the quality of our performance and the fact that you could win the FA Cup again in a very convincing way.
Arsenal have now won back-to-back FA Cups, and with this record 12th victory, the Gunners can now end the season with at least one piece of silverware.
Michael, all I got out of this was that a German guy is actually training Arsenal, which is great. But okay, yes, Theo
Walcott. Fantastic.
That's all I know about Arsenal.
Listen, the Gunners, they had...
No.
It was impressive for them. Back-to-back. They won it last year, won it again. Unfortunately, Prince Williams was not too happy. He's a die-hard Aston Villa fan. They even gave him a little Aston Villa kit for his little
Prince
baby.
William, with all due respect, his life is good enough. He can take a bit of a loss. I love also though how the football player came out afterwards, and like every athlete, we played hard. We did this, but when you say it with a British accent,
it sounds lovely.
It
sounds great.
It's like you said, it sounds really important.
They came out, we played good.
We played very well. Okay.
Ran around for the ball. It was lovely.
So we ran around back and forth.
So it was exciting for them. Happy. It was their 12th one, a record for them.
Yeah, so that's a good weekend.
For a disappointing season for them, it was a great. Moving on, we have the Copa del Rey, Barcelona.
Nod.
Once again, Barcelona killers.
I'm staring at Michael.
Yeah.
There's no chance that anyone's going to beat Barcelona. They won the league. They now won the Copa del Rey. They're going to go next week to hopefully win the Champions League and have the coveted treble. It would be a phenomenal, phenomenal win for them.
So Barca next week. Who are they playing against
Barcelona is playing against Juventus.
Juventus, yeah. Barca's going to win.
Barca's going to win.
He's going to win. We know it.
If you take anything of how they played yesterday, they have to win. I mean,
that's like the happy news of the day. And Messi.
And Messi. Once again, Lionel Messi is superb. He's the superstar. He cuts up 3-4 guys, scores another remarkable goal.
I'm a little over him. I don't know.
You can't be over Messi.
Where does he play?
Plays for Barcelona, and he's from Argentina, and...
We've just lost every man watching this show.
No, I'll tell you why I'm asking, because the night that there was the Arsenal game, I was supposed to like have drinks with my British friends here and go to the Arsenal game. That's the only reason I knew that there's a game. Then I saw everybody on Twitter tweeting about Messi. Yeah. So I didn't understand where was Messi.
Saturday night, we had 4 matches. Each country had their...
Why am I wasting your time on explaining something that everybody else knows?
No, guys, sorry, that's all the time we have. But Chen and Michael will be having a drink shortly after the show. And don't forget to watch us. Check us out, Facebook, Twitter, all those social networks, and tune in tomorrow morning. I-24 News Morning Edition, the place you should be. Yes, go have a drink.